Hello lads, Chad here. Welcome to my place where Sigma male and female belong. Today's Sigma is Chris from Get Out, released in 2017. Like and subscribe to Chad and become a Sigma. Spoilers ahead, watch out. The film begins with a woman named Rose who comes to her boyfriend's apartment, Chris. Rose is asking Chris to meet her parents on the weekends. Rose hasn't told her parents that her boyfriend is black, and Chris worried about the impression he will get. After being well forced by Rose, Chris agrees to spend his weekend with Rose's parents. It was quite a long journey. Chris and Rose finally arrived to Rose's parents' house. Chris finally meets Rose's parents, the Armitage, for the first time, Dean and Missy. Dean is asking them, "So, how long has this been going on?" Chris and Rose say, 5 months. Dean is kindly showing to Chris to go around their house. He is also showing his office's wife, Missy, and tell Chris that his wife is a psychiatrist. He also showing him a photo of Rose and Rose's brother, Jeremy, when they were a kid. When they are looking around to the kitchen, Chris meets the housemaid, Georgina. Dean explains to him that their house has a well privacy, because it's far from other houses. Chris also meets the gardener, Walter. After the house touring, they have a lunch together. While they eat, Chris talks about his background life. He says that his dad left him, and his mom passed away when he was 11 years old, because of an accident. He has been trying hard to stop smoking. Then, Dean suggests him to do a hypnosis therapy with Missy. Dean convinces Chris that it would help him to stop, because he used to smoke for 15 years and nailed to stop. When they're still on conversations, suddenly, Rose's brother, Jeremy, comes. At night, they're having a family dinner. Chris and Jeremy just talk about their experiences and hobbies. Basically, it's about men things. Night comes, Chris just can't sleep, so he decided to smoke. When he walks around the house, suddenly, there's a woman passing by behind him. The strange thing comes again while Chris is about to smoke. From afar, he sees a guy is running to him. When he wants to come back to the house, he sees Georgina is staring sinisterly to the outside. Chris feels shocked and confused about what's going on. After what happens, Chris is back to the house and shocked to see Missy, who is sitting on her office room. She asks Chris to sit with her. She tells how a hypnosis therapy technique to her patient. Without Chris knows it, she has started her hypnosis. She stirs her cup of tea and Chris started to tell the story of his mother's death that he won't to tell. He begins to cry. He realized that he can't move his body. When Missy says, "Sink into the floor," Chris feels that his body is sink deeply and leave away from her. Now, he's in sunken place. Chris wakes up and he feels that last night was a dream. While he's walking around to taking pictures, he meets Walter. They get to know each other and now, he knows the guy who ran last night was Walter. Chris tells his girlfriend, Rose. It feels like he has been hypnotized by her mother. Because when he sees a cigarette, he hates it. He also says to Rose that he had a strange dream. He was in a hole and he can't even move. Rose's grandfather's party just comes. Rose is introducing her boyfriend, Chris, to their parents' friends. Christ walks away from the crowd and starts to take pictures. While he's focusing his camera on someone, he sees the one and only black guy at the party. He feels happy and approaches that guy. They just get to know each other, and his name is Logan King. But Chris realized that there's something strange with Logan. He speaks and dresses like white people. After that, Chris goes away and meets with a blind man who sits alone. His name is Jim Hudson. He is an art gallery owner. They are talking about photography. Chris gets back to his room to take his phone that being charged. Turns out, there's someone who pulled out his phone while being charged. Chris is sure that it must be Georgina. Chris calls his friend, Rod, who knows he's spending his weekend in girlfriend parents' house. Chris says that there's something strange there. It looks like they never saw a black guy before. His friend, Rod, is asking him to go away from there as soon as possible. Georgina is entering Chris's room to explaining to him that she just cleans up the dressing table and accidentally she disconnected his phone charger and left. Chris also says that he won't say anything and sometimes he just feels worried if there's a lot of white people around him. Georgina laughs with a scary expression. This girl is crazy. Chris returns to the party and one of the guests asking him, "Do you find that being African American has more advantage or disadvantage?" While being asked, he sees Logan and asks him to answer the question. When Logan answers the question, Chris takes his phone and silently takes a picture with a flash on. Chris shocked with Logan's reaction. He's froze, nosebleed and screaming loudly, get out, to Chris. After what happens, Dean tries to explain that Logan has a seizures that create anxiety which can trigger the aggression because of the flash what was set him off. Then, Logan comes with Missy that made his condition better. Logan apologizes with everyone, especially Chris. When he's alone with Rose, Chris says that Logan went crazy, he's like a different person. Chris also thinks this is because of Missy has hypnotized his mind, so he thinks the strange things. And Chris is asking Rose to go home. In another side, Dean is standing in the front of the guests and offering something to them. This offer for Chris's body because there's a frame picture of him. Look like everyone seems so enthusiastic about this offer. And the final offer goes to Jim Hudson. At night, Chris sends a photo of Logan to Rod. Not for long a time, Rod calls Chris. He says that he knows that man. He's not Logan, but he's Andre Hayworth. Then, Chris realizes and begins to tell the story about the strange thing that happened to Andre. While he's calling with Rod, his battery's phone runs out. He is preparing to go home at that time with Rose. When he's putting the things in his bag, he sees the closet door opened. He decides to see inside the closet. Turns out, there's a box filled with Rose and her black ex's photos. He thinks maybe Rose likes BBC, but the thing is getting strange when he finds a picture of Rose with Walter and Georgina, which look so close each other. With all the strange things happened, without any doubt Chris just wants to leave that house. When he's about to go out from there, he's being blocked by the Armitage. Chris tries hard to run away from them, but he is blocked by Jeremy. Then, Missy is knocking her cup 3 times by spoon and Chris is fainted to the sunken place. On the morning, Rod tries to call Chris, but his phone isn't active. Rod is getting worried about what happened to his friend, Chris. And he begins to finding him through internet and typing searching for Andre Hayworth. He finds an article, which mentioned that Andre has been lost for a couple days because he was kidnapped at night. Meanwhile, Chris wakes up with his hands and feet that being tied up in the chair. Suddenly, in the front of him, the TV is turning on and telling the story about the family's history of the Armitage. Armitage's family belongs to an order. Their job is to choose black people who have a good in physics to make all of them as coagula procedure. Rod is doing an investigation to find where is Chris, but sadly he got nothing. After that, Rod calls Chris's girlfriend, Rose. She says that Chris has left 2 days ago and left his phone. Rod knows that if she is lying. Rod just turns off the phone madly. On the TV screen, Jim, who won the auction over Chris's body, explains the phase of coagula procedure. Phase 1 is hypnotism, that's how Missy sedate Chris at that night. The second phase is mental preparation, just like his current condition. For the third phase is the transplantation by transferring Jim's consciousness to Chris's body. The operating rooms has prepared for the third phase. Jim has sedated by Dean, who will carry out the procedure that assisted by Jeremy. Jeremy is going to bring Chris to the operating room. When he unties him, suddenly, Chris hits Jeremy with a ball until he's fainted. It turns out, Chris hasn't entering to the sunken place yet, because he's stuffing his ears with cotton wool on his chair. Dean is looking around to find Jeremy because he doesn't come back yet. Suddenly, Chris comes to attack him and he brings a hartshorn and stab it to the Dean's body. The candle in operating room also started to burn out to Dean's body and fall into the room with Jim that being sedated. With all the messy condition, as fast as he can, Chris is going to Missy's office and meet her. Chris immediately dropped Missy's cup in order to not enter a sunken place. They are fighting and Chris is stabbing her. When he is about to go out from the house, suddenly, Jeremy attacks him to strangle his neck. Then, he is stabbing Jeremy's feet and get out from his grip. Meanwhile, Rose is focusing herself with her laptop while listening to music, doesn't realize what happened. Chris brings a Jeremy's car and go away from that house. But when he is about to go out of the gate, he's accidentally crashing Georgina, who is the grandmother of Rose from the coagula procedures process. Chris gets out from the car because it reminds him about his mother's accident. And he brings her to the car. Rose, who finally realized about what happened, go to the outside, bringing the gun and starts to shoot Chris's car. Georgina, who was fainted, get realized and mad at Chris and it makes them into a crash. Chris gets injured because of the crash. When Chris wants to get out of the car, Rose is shooting him. Walter, the gardener who is the Rose's grandfather from coagula procedures process, catches Chris. Chris takes out his phone and using a flash to Walter. Walter realizes and starts to shoot Rose and ends up shoot himself. After that, Chris begins to strangle his girlfriend's neck, Rose. But Chris can't bear it and let her go. At the same time, the police car comes and Rose acts like she is the victim and asks for help. Apparently, the guy who comes with the police car is Rod. He is a Transportation Security Administration officer. Meanwhile, Chris gets straight into the car with Rod and leaving Rose alone, tragically. Despite everything that has happened to him, Chris still follows the Sigma rules by helping elder people, like Rose's grandmother, and showing mercy to his girlfriend. So, lads, even if the situation is hard, as a Sigma we must stick in Sigma rules. Time's up, lads. A Sigma will like and subscribe. Chad out.